Octalift in these Tide detergents.
37 Senate seats are up for grabs this November, and most pundits concede that Republicans face an uphill battle in their attempt to regain control. But one of the most intriguing matchups is a surprisingly popular race out of Delaware. This is Vice President Joe Biden's old seat, and it actually pits Democrat Chris Coons against the Republican nominee, Tea Party favorite Christine O'Donnell. The race has attracted a lot of attention because O'Donnell came out of virtually nowhere to upset fellow Republican Mike Castle in the primary. This morning, O'Donnell and Coons were out on the Sunday shows. Take a listen.
The state party isn't helping us, and we're asking the National Republican Senatorial to help us. We've got the Democratic Senatorial Committee coming after me. We're hoping that the National Republican Senatorial Committee will help us.
She's run for the United States Senate 3 times in 5 years. Yeah. That's a lot of persistence.
And what do you think it's all about?
I think my grandmother would have said she has a lot of moxie.
It's a good thing?
I'm not sure why she's running.
This will be one of the races to watch in coming days. Coons is still way ahead, though. The latest RCP average has Coons at 54.6% and O'Donnell at just 37%. Delaware Senate candidate Christine O'Donnell has certainly grabbed headlines, but is that actually going to translate into votes on Election Day? We're joined now by our political panel, former Undersecretary of Commerce to President Clinton, Rob Shapiro, and also California Republican Party Chairman Ron Nehring. Welcome to you both, gentlemen.
Pleasure to be here.
Hi, Shannon.
All right, Rob, what do you make of Christine O'Donnell? I mean, she's way down in the polls. She talks about not having GOP establishment support, but can they afford to pour dollars into her race right now when there are others that are a lot tighter?
Well, the fact is she's raising a lot of money on her own. But this is part of a very interesting, broader development here. This is the 3rd election in a row in which the public has said no to those in power. 2 times to Republicans, and it now looks like they're saying the same thing to Democrats. But interestingly enough, this time the cycle began with the Republican base saying no to the establishment Republican Party. We saw it in Delaware, we saw it in Kentucky, we saw it in Nevada, we saw it in Colorado, we saw it in Connecticut. It's a very interesting phenomenon.
Ron, does it benefit her to keep hammering away at the fact that she doesn't have establishment support? I mean, maybe something that helped her with the Tea Party folks in the primary, but what does it do for her in the general election?
Well, certainly Christine O'Donnell needs to build a winning majority in the state of Delaware, so she certainly has the support of the Republican base. She needs to reach out to those independent voters who are very much leaning against Barack Obama right now by 2-to-1 in many parts of the country. It's also important for both parties to recognize that Christine O'Donnell is the Republican nominee for Senate in Delaware because she made the case that she would be a stronger opponent to Barack Obama's, Harry Reid's, and Nancy Pelosi's agenda than Mike Castle would. And Mike Castle's record of having compromised on certain issues like cap and trade resulted in that outcome. So there's a lesson for both parties here, but certainly Christine O'Donnell, politics is about addition. She has that base. She needs to reach out on those issues of taxes, spending, the economy, jobs, and debt, those independent voters, and really make the connection between why lower taxes and less spending in Washington is going to produce a better quality of life for voters in Delaware.
Well, she, like so many other GOP candidates this cycle, has been tagged as extreme, maybe even nutty by some people. Now, contrast that with the race out in Nevada, where this week we saw Sharon Angle take on Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, in a debate that most people thought she did pretty well in proving herself. The debate seemed to help her a little bit there, but O'Donnell's debate didn't help her, it doesn't seem, in Delaware, Rob.
Well, I think Christy O'Donnell has simply not been a credible candidate. She's been caught in a lot of distortions in her resume. She has no record in public service. She has no record in the private sector, and it's a Democratic state. Nevada is a purple state. It goes Democrat and Republican, and the fact is that Majority Leader Reid is seen as being focused on national issues rather than Nevada. This befalls a lot of majority leaders. And so that's a much tougher race. In the end, I think Harry Reid will pull it out. Christy O'Donnell will not.
All right, we're going to hold it there. Thank you, panel. Stick around. We'll give Rob the last word here, but we're coming back. President Obama has spent the entire weekend on the campaign trail stumping for Democratic candidates. He even brought along the First Lady. But will his endorsements help or hurt come November? Who would you want endorsing you out there if you're a Democrat? Well, look at that next. As Julie mentioned, President Obama is hitting the campaign trail hard this weekend. Yesterday, he was in Boston stumping for his law school classmate, Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick. And he's not the only presidential face out there. Former President Bill Clinton is also out campaigning hard in California for his former rival, Jerry Brown. But are these high-profile endorsements enough to give Democrats the advantage as Election Day approaches? We are back now with our political panel, former Undersecretary of Commerce to President Clinton, Rob Shapiro, and California Republican Party Chairman Ron Nehring. Gentlemen, thanks for sticking around. All right, Ron, I want to start with you since Rob had the last word last time. If you're out there on a trail as a Democrat, which I know is hard to imagine, who would you want endorsing you? Would you want President Obama campaigning with you, former President Clinton, or even the First Lady who's out there as well?
Well, I think what you see happening right now, number one, is that the Democrats are in a total state of alarm nationally. If the President of the United States has to go to Massachusetts and California to try to bail out Democrat candidates, that really shows the tremendous shift and momentum that Republicans have right now. I also thought it was very interesting that this week, independent analyst Charlie Cook noted that the Democrats seem to be abandoning their efforts to try to win over independent voters. They've been trying to do that for months. It hasn't worked at all. They're still leaning against Democrats by 2-1. And instead, they're going to a base activation strategy. They're pulling out their partisan figures to try to get Democrats excited about this election in some way, try to close that enthusiasm gap. That's why you see Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Al Gore, and company all here in my state of California, where they're at risk of losing the governor's race here, as well as the United States Senate race here against a 3-term incumbent. So the Democrats trying to pull out these national figures to try to triage in heavily Democratic states like Massachusetts and California, that reveals their strategy. It's that base activation strategy, try to get those people waked up and active. And independent voters are really going to determine the outcome of this election. And they are so strongly going in favor of Republicans right now. I don't see there's anything that the Democrats are going to be able to do to bring them back in just 2 weeks left to go.
Well, Rob, they certainly are working hard at it. I mean, Ron didn't want to pick someone. I understand that he's not going to be campaigning with any of these individuals. But Rob, who would you pick? Who has the best plus and who has the worst minus for you as a candidate?
Well, look, I think that it is a base activation strategy. It was a strategy pioneered by George W. Bush, who always used base activation strategies, because Karl Rove concluded that the actual number of real independents is very small, that they either lean Democrat or lean Republican, and so you activate the base. This is certainly what you do when the other side has more enthusiasm than your side. And in fact, what we're seeing across the country is the generic polls tightening up to 2 to 3 point differences instead of 6 to 7 point differences. And as far as California is concerned, I'm not worried. We'll hold the Senate, we'll take the governorship in California. But the other thing that's going on here is that the president is running for re-election. We see this is the beginning of the re-election campaign. And we've seen this in every president in the last 7 or 8 going out in the first midterm and targeting states like Ohio that they know are going to be very important in the presidential 2 years out.
All right, it is always just a short time away, these presidential campaigns. Rob says he's not worried about California. I'll give you the final word here. Should he be?
Absolutely. Barbara Boxer and Carly Fiorina are neck and neck here in California. Carly Fiorina is coming on very, very strong. She's up on TV full bore. She's pulling independent voters away from Barbara Boxer. And again, the fact that you have to have Barack Obama again and again in California to try to bail out a Democrat incumbent of 18 years in a state with 2.3 million more Democrats than Republicans just shows that nationally this is going to be a great night for Republicans, which means it's going to be a great night for America, and we're going to change the direction of this government in Washington.
All right, Rob, Ron, we'll leave it right there, and we'll see whose predictions pan out. Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll see.
Thank you.